All right, welcome everybody to Interview Thursday. Today we have a very, very special guest all the way from Venezuela who now lives in Florida. Her name is Amelia Hernandez. I was trying to do it with the Spanish accent, but I can't do it. She is a woman FIDE master. And not only a woman FIDE master, but also the first person from Venezuela to achieve the master title, which is pretty amazing if you ask me. So thank you very much for joining us today, Amelia. How are you doing today? And tell us about yourself.
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for the invitation. I feel really honored to be here. And I can tell you, first of all, that I'm pretty happy to be here living in South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I've met a lot of great American people. I feel like I'm home. But I'm working as a chess teacher and as a chess coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you about my story, but where to start?
Let's go ahead and start with what got you into chess back in Venezuela. We have a slight stream delay here, guys, and the Zoom, I don't know why, but hopefully she was able to hear my question. Amelia, were you able to hear me? Hello?
Now I can hear you.
Excellent.
Yes,
Okay, sometimes Zoom cuts out. I don't know why today. But yeah, where we start is with what got you into chess?
Sorry, say it again.
What got you into chess?
I started playing chess many years ago when I was studying in elementary school. And there was a time that my friends and I went out to recess time, and one of them got a chess set and everybody started to play. And I didn't know anything, so I just wanted to play with them. And I told them, well, can somebody explain me how the game is? And then they told me how the pieces move. And after that, we started to play, with the friends during recess time. 2 weeks later, there was an inter-school tournament there in my homeland. And I'm from Valencia, Venezuela. There was a tournament there, and there was nobody else who could play, in the under 14 category. So 3 of the girls played, and I got second place. And then I fell in love with chess, and I wanted to improve and keep improving. And at the end of the same year, I was already the state champion in my town, Carabobo.
And also, you guys go ahead and check her out on Wikipedia, Amelia Hernandez. And she also was in the Chess Olympiad, correct?
Right.
Yeah, how was it?
Yeah, actually I want to...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Well, the first time I went to the Olympiad, it was when I was 17 years old, in 1988, when I went to Thessaloniki in Greece. It was a great experience because, that's an art world. So there are like around 3,000 or sometimes 4,000 people, just players, but of course a lot of press and many famous people. You feel like in heaven,
Yeah.
And for me, it was encouraging because, to see even the world champions, the great chess figures, and of course you want to play better because you want to do it well.
Yes.
And it's something that it changed your mind completely, and then you want to go once and again. After that, I went to Manila, Philippines Olympiad in 1992. Then the third time I went to the Olympiad was in Moscow in 1994, where I got a gold Olympic medal. And after that, I went to the Olympiad in 1996 in Yerevan, Armenia. And after that, I got a quite big break from chess, and I came back. And finally, I could go again to the Olympiad in Batumi, Georgia in 2018. So that was really great. And this year, due to the lockdown here with COVID, FIDE organized by the first time the first World Chess Olympiad online.
All right.
And I was part of the Olympic team. So that was also a different experience, but we're very glad, to be part of the Olympic team of my country.
And how was that experience in 2020 playing online?
Well, being the first time, of course, there are some details that PETA must improve, but I think it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very serious Olympiad. Everybody was playing in one of the platforms, uh, and everybody had to be streaming in Zoom during the game because the arbiters are right there, share the screen with everyone, and they have to be able to see to watch your face, and you cannot be out of the screen, and sometimes you have to take the camera and turn it around, and they want to look where you're playing from.
Right.
If you have something hidden, or they were very strict with it. And I think that the results were awesome. Actually, I think that they're going to continue organizing that.
Right. And in terms of the segment being psychology of competition, the difference between playing in front of somebody as opposed to playing on a screen, did you feel like you were unable to, or how was it in that sense, not being able to see your opponents? Oh, hopefully I didn't cut out there.
Well, for me, it was almost the same. Of course, it's much more exciting when you're playing face to face because, all that you can feel, the environment and all those people walking around you, and the press, the people, the fans. But playing an online Olympiad is also a very serious fact for us, the chess players, who take it seriously.
Right.
So, it was, the same anxiety and, the nerves. And of course, you want to do it well because, especially because it's a team competition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've learned a lot from former masters on the series that on a team, the feel is very different. You don't want to let people down. Sometimes that gives you more energy to fight.
Yes.
All right.
That's the way it is.
Excellent introduction, Amelia. Thank you so much for being on our show today. And let's go ahead and get started. What do you have to show us for our first game today?
Well, okay, let me go to my account. Let me show you the board. So I've selected 3 of my games. Well, of course, I have some different games that can be interesting, but I chose these ones because these ones represent some of the most important moments in my chess career.
Okay.
It's good that everybody know that I played chess until 1997. At the time that I quit chess for 20 years. And it was because I was studying at the university and I received my medical doctor degree. And then, of course, I started to work as a doctor. Then I made a specialization. I'm an obstetrician gynecologist in Venezuela. And I started to work in my own office with my father, who was also a medical doctor. He was and we worked together. And I quit chess completely. But when you fall in love with chess, there's something inside that doesn't let you sleep at all. There's something that you want to go back. And I thought about it a lot of years, actually 20 years. And finally, I was afraid because 20 years is a lot, especially for high competition. But I did it, and I came back in 2017, 3 years ago. Actually, and this is why I chose these games. One of the Olympiad in 1994 before quitting chess, and then in 2017, the second game is the first game that I played after 20 years.
All right, this is gonna be really fun.
At the first game, I love
this
that
is
game.
Very new. We haven't had someone who took such a long break. Now, this break is through modern chess, where you start getting engines, theory is improving. Before we actually get started on the first game, I have another question. How did you prepare to get back in 2017? Because that seems like a lot of different information.
Yeah, it was a big challenge because when I quit chess, I just played a tournament with the modern clocks. I used to play, with the old ones.
Yeah.
And there was no increment. There was no chess base. I didn't know that. So I felt like in the movie coming back from the past, or, going to the future, or something like that. Yeah, well, so it was very challenging. So actually I decided to go back to chess. So it took a short time to play since I decided it. And well, I played a simultaneous play in Valencia against some strong players, who I didn't know, because, well, after 20 years, I almost didn't know anybody.
Right.
And after playing that simul play, well, there was like 10 games. I only lost one game. And the games had a, let's say, somehow a good quality. So I felt like there was something left. So, well, then I said, okay, why not? But then I started to prepare with the all books and all the informators, the way they were before quitting, because that's the only thing that I knew. And actually, when I went to the first tournament, coming back to chess, it was in Aruba Chess Challenge. And, I took one of my luggage was full of books, because I really didn't know anything about chess base. And when I saw the clock and the increment, all that was new for me. So I couldn't focus it well, because, it was very challenging, but, well, I think it was great. So that's what I chose this game. So somehow you can see the Amelia Hernandez, the young Amelia, and the new one.
Gotcha. All right.
I wanted you to feel somehow the way I felt.
It's going to be very interesting to see if your style changed too. That'd be really fun to watch. All right. So what do we got going on here? You're playing as whites against a women international master. I'm not even going to try pronouncing that name. Maruni.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, Kunte, Women International Master Kunte. She's from India. That India is one of the strongest players, one of the strongest country in the whole world right now. And this International Master Kunte was, at the time, she was a national champion, the national female champion of India. So this game was very important, because at that time I had started playing in my board. I was playing third board. And I started with a draw. It was the first game, a draw against the player from Yugoslavia, because at that time it was, Yugoslavia before going with Montenegro and Bosnia and Macedonia. Well, and I also played, by the way, with Germany, West Germany, and East Germany. So this is history.
Absolutely.
But well, at that time I had won already like 3 or 4 games, so I had 3.5 points out of 4, or 4.5 points out of 5. So I was a serious candidate for a medal in that Olympiad. So of course every single game was very important, because at that time, of course, you don't want to lose, and of course you never want to lose. But here it was a bit a great responsibility, because I really had some chance. And well, so I was feeling very anxious, very nervous, but at the same time, I was feeling very confident. For some reason, my chess level in the tournament was pretty cool.
Right.
So now I watch my games and I say, okay, maybe I played better before than now.
All right. So
okay,
what
so
we
I'm going to start with
here?
the first game. I was playing white pieces against the Indian player. So we started with d4, d5, so going with a Sicilian defense. And then I tried with the lapping variation, but still, then it was very popular, but now still a lot of people plays it.
Right.
And d5 is one of the most popular moves. Then we created the first pawn.
Oh, sorry, those were our test arrows from before, guys. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. No problem. You're good.
I'll clear them as we see them.
Okay, d4, knight f6. Here you have several lines. Knight f6 is one of the most played, but you can also play e6. You can play knight c6. You can trade the pawns here, cd4, so that depends on the player.
Right.
So, well, she played knight f6.
So before the game,
Yes.
did you prepare against your opponent in terms of checking their repertoire? Or how was it back then, actually, in 1994, being able to find their games?
Well, it was not easy because we didn't have the test base, so we had to check it out
Right.
with informators, or we had to wait every morning until, the printed bulletin of the Olympiad was done.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to check all the games. And for example, when you're playing in one of the boards, you don't know if you're gonna play with one of the main players, or if you're gonna play with another player who's going to play in that board that day.
Right.
So you had to prepare against two players.
Oh, okay. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so it was not easy. And, the printed bulletin was, it came like around 11 o'clock in the morning, and then you had to, the round was going to start at 2 p.m.
Oh, okay.
So, and then you had to take lunch and, get prepared. So, well, it was not easy. So everything that you had to prepare concerning the openings or everything, you had to do it before the tournament, because now this little time was just to double check or to review or to have a quick review or about some lines. But
Okay. And
else.
did you have just one game a day? Is that how it worked?
Yes, because before, the time control was different. It was 2 hours for 40 moves, and then you had 1 hour for the next 20 moves, and then 1 more hour for the rest of the game. So the game could easily last like 6 or even 7 hours.
All right.
Yeah, that was a lot of energy. And well, for me, that I was very anxious at that time. I even lost some weight because, well, I couldn't even eat that much.
Because you're so focused on just make sure you don't make mistakes, and you have to prepare.
Well, yeah,
Oh.
Very important to focus, to sleep well, to be focused on your tournament, to do it seriously. If you want to do things good, you have to put effort on it.
Right. By the way, you have an admirer here in the chat giving you a lot of compliments, saying that they're very proud of your efforts and such, and you've always done well. So you got a shout out.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go ahead and continue. So we have here after knight f3.
Okay, knight f3 and then a6, very important. So the lines here, the main lines here are cd4 or bishop d4, but then in this case, a6.
Okay.
Also pretty good. Knight f3. Knight a3 is a classical move in which the knight want to jump to b5 or c4, depending on the move that the other player does.
Right.
And then trying to fight for the d4 square. So cd4, and then the knight goes to b5, because there's a theme here with a family fork. And of course, black has to defend against that. And she plays queen d8. And then, but actually, the idea of knight b5 is to capture the pawn on d4, and now the knight has a very good square. So now we have an open center, and here, of course, you're going to fight for the control of the central square. So in this case, especially for the e5 square, the d4 square, the e4 square.
Okay.
And then you have some open lines. So this is the main idea of this Sicilian variation. So the bishop pair is going to play here against the king side, while the black is going to play through the queen side. So those are all the games in this line. So
do you like open positions?
Well, yes, I feel comfortable with those open positions because, well, you can have a lot of moves and you have plenty of ideas, and also because when you study the classics, then there are pretty much, a lot of games that you can apply those knowledge that you get from those games.
Right. Polymorphy.
Yeah, bishop b3, so castles, and knight bd7. So with the idea of going ahead with e5 and maybe e4, if you don't notice, then you're going to fork here.
Yeah.
And you're going to take a piece. So of course, then rook e1, because as I told you, now the main idea is the control of the e5 square. This knight d4 is in a very good spot. So it's going to be supporting the game of the pieces to the king side.
Okay.
e6, So a very classical move here in the Sicilian defense. So aiming to play b5, b4 to make some counterplay in the queen side.
Mm-hmm.
Queen e2, so trying to control even more the square e5. Knight c6, e5, sorry. Bishop c2, because I want to keep the bishop pair because, as I told you, well, I want to attack the king side.
Right.
That's my main idea. So a5, and I think that this was a mistake because, well, the idea of a6, as I told you, is to go with b5, and then, the knight that was on d7 should move to b6, and knight c4, trying to make some pressure here over the b2 pawn. The rook is going to c8, trying to make pressure over the c file.
Right.
But when you play a5, now you cannot play b5, of course, because now white has a control of that square, but perhaps she was afraid of b4, and maybe she had to, of course, she would have to move the knight, but actually it was not planning to make such kind of moves,
right.
Because if I move b4 at some time, then this pawn will be a
backward
pawn, and will be a weakness. So I don't have any weakness. So in here, white doesn't have any problem at all, the position. So it will not be good, to create a problem if you don't have a problem at all. So a5, I think that was definitely one of the mistakes that she had.
And also, they took 2 moves to play it.
Also, of course, she wasted an important time there. Okay, so I played quite normal here, bishop g5, just to connect the rook, so just as like the opening principles suggest. And h6, taking away the bishop h4, and knight e5, trying to trade some pieces, to try to release somehow the initiative over the king side. But then bishop g3, I cannot trade because then this f4 square will be weak. And I cannot allow that because then she would create some counterplay. Bishop f6, again, trying to fight for the control of the e5 square. Then normal moves such as rook 81, create an X-ray there in the d file with the black queen. So queen b6, taking the b2 pawn, and then, okay, bishop b1, I'm okay. So the bishop is not, it's going to be safe there. And I don't even have the rook already in the corner. So all my pieces are playing, and you can see how all the pieces are coordinated, fighting for the central squares. The bishops are on open diagonal, so the rooks are on the center. So my position is quite comfortable here.
Right. We do have a question here in the chat, if you don't mind. The question is, how do you mentally prepare for these tournaments and not letting your nervousness take over?
Well, actually, the anxiety is something that also very difficult to handle for me. And well, I would say that the main thing that I do to control that skill is just to focus and play with the heart. When you play with the heart, because this is what you want, this is what you're trying to do your best, then everything happens. Good things happen. Of course, you're nervous because there's something that we cannot avoid because we're humans.
Yeah.
But you can deal with it. But imagine, of course, if I quit chess for 20 years and I came back, of course, I was afraid to come back. I was anxious, I was nervous, but my aiming to play chess, my heart when playing chess, my love for chess was even greater than my fears.
That's excellent. And also probably being in a team tournament helps a lot too, because you have support from your team.
Yes, of course. Well, actually, my teammates are the best. Well, I have had the opportunities. Of course, when I was younger, I had to share the team with great players in Venezuelan history. And now I've had the opportunity to share with the younger ones. And of course, there's something completely different, but many talented players. So it's really an honor for me to be with them in the same team.
Excellent. That's awesome. Thank you for the answer. And thanks for the question, guys. Feel free to ask more. That's what we're here for. All right. So bishop b1.
Okay. And then rook e8, Now black is noticing that his pieces are not doing anything at all. So look how the bishop on c8 has got some problems. So it cannot be developed so easily because, well, the lines are closed. So this rook on a8 is not really doing anything. The queen is blocking the own pawn that had to be moved before. So, well, black is going to try to go ahead and push this pawn on e5 and trying to open up the diagonal for this bishop. But of course, the control of the e5 square is very important. And well, here I played queen c2, of course, threatening with my threatened there on h7, and but of course it's not the main threat because she's going to defend that way. But actually the idea of that is that I was going to force a move like g6, weakening the pawn chain on the king side. And well, this is a typical move, h4, trying to break the pawn chain with h5. Here, I would trade a couple of pawns, and then this diagonal would be very strong, you know. And look at the queen. The queen is very far away, so she's not able to be on time to defend the king side. Right. The rook is not doing anything. The bishop is not on time to defend. So the knight is on the other side. So the only good defender could be the bishop. But h4, I think it's a very strong move here. So she has to do h5 because after my h5, her position will be strategically lost. Right. So she has to play h5. She cannot allow that break. And well, then after that, look how the black squares here are seriously weakened. So I'm going to try to go behind the king, and the first thing that I'm going to do is knight e5, blocking the possibility to play e5 for black. So definitely the bishop on c8 is a problem. And not only that, the bishop on c8 is not playing, and it's not letting the rook on a8 play. So the queen is not doing anything because she would be just pointing here to the b2 pawn, but that pawn is very good defended. And also knight e5 is threatening something like knight g6. So knight g6, pawn captures here, and then the queen will come here on g6, checking the king, and also forking here the rook and forking the bishop. So this is a serious threat in here for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So, of course, it's forced for her to play knight e7 to block the plans of knight g6. But again, look how my pieces are all coordinated. I have space advantage, and
like all that.
Exactly. All the pieces are coordinated going to the king side. And notice how the black pieces are disconnected from the king side and not doing anything at all because she's just not even attacking. Yeah, exactly. So, well, queen c1 trying to go through the dark squares, and king g7, of course, because she cannot allow queen h6. Bishop f4, trying to go over the dark squares, and knight g8. So look how the knight has gone to the original square, thus defending. So knight f3. So here, perhaps, I should have played g4, breaking the pawn chain again, and trying to trade the pawns here to open up this diagonal that should be very serious for black. So I think that I should have played here g4, but instead of that, I played knight f3 because, well, I had at that moment, I had some plans of jumping with the knight here, g5, and perhaps to make some pressure over the f7 pawn and trying to sacrifice one of the knights to get here to the g6 pawn.
Right.
So those were my plans at that moment. So queen a7. So notice how she doesn't have any plan. So she's trying to go ahead with a pawn, b5 and b4, which had to be her plan from the beginning. And now the queen is not letting her do it. And not only that, the queen is not defending, the queen is not attacking, but now the queen on a7 has an even more passive situation there. So, well, queen c2 again, threatening the same, knight d6, and well, trying to see which were her intentions. And well, knight e7, it's forced because she cannot allow me to do knight g6 because after knight g6 she will be lost.
Right.
And finally, well, G4, because at this moment I felt, okay, my pieces are coordinated. My bishops, the queen, the knight on E5, everybody's pointing to the king side. Her pieces are not helping, but there is something else that I need. It's like something that you have to push. There was something missing.
Right.
And
before the when you mentioned G4 was also a winning move, even though you didn't play it, you still had a winning position, a winning attack. Just you wanted to prepare it more.
Exactly, because strategically, I'm much better. I'm in a much better position. But right now, I don't have the tactic move in order to, to strike the game.
Right.
So G4 was like the natural move here. And actually it's very strong because now I'm threatening to trade the pawns here, G4 to capture H5. And this is something that she cannot avoid, actually. Now she cannot avoid it anymore. So now she has to capture, because otherwise I would capture. And then if I capture, then the queen would go to H7, and then to F7 will be checkmate.
Right.
So definitely she has to capture. And well, after knight captures on G4, look how now the bishop is going to go to H6, and actually his only or her only good piece that is a defensive piece, the bishop on F6, is going to be out of the board very soon.
Right.
So knight G8, and well, I didn't even capture the bishop, so I played A5, and that was a boom. Because, well, the same idea of exploiting the light diagonal there from A to H7. And, well, of course, if she captures here, then it will be devastating here. Knight H7, king F8. So, well, it will be disastrous. So I can capture here.
I wouldn't want to be in this position.
Yeah, I could play knight H6, threatening checkmate, and then, something like this, and check. And, well, the king will be in the center because, for example, if she blocks here now, queen H8, and then this bishop, the span will be lost. And, well, this is a winning move. This is winning for me because, well, the rook here, instead of the king, the bishop is going. Well, this is devastating.
Yeah, and it mostly has to do with, you mentioned earlier, these guys are not even assisting in the defense.
Exactly. All the pieces are disconnecting, just expecting the game, and no counterplay, not even a counterplay there. So H5, of course, she cannot capture. So again, well, she goes back with the bishop because it was the only good piece, a defensive piece. But now bishop E5 and actually exploit in the dark squares. And, well, here she resigned. If she goes ahead with a pawn, then queen G6.
Right.
She will be lost. And if the king goes back, and I even can go ahead with a pawn. I can capture here. It will be win, and I can even go with a pawn, and the pawn will be promoted soon. And well,
threatening mate.
yeah, she had to resign. So this was a very beautiful game because all these strategic ideas, I could apply all of them. And actually, this is one of the games that I teach to my students when we talk about opening principles and the general ideas of exploiting the strong squares.
Right.
And
obviously immense respect for all other chess players, WIM Kunte. It's just impressive to look at a game between two masters, and it didn't, honestly, it felt like you were playing someone who doesn't even have a title. Again, I say that with all the respect to your opponent. It just seems very one-sided.
Yeah, she's a very good player, but, well, when you're playing with when you fall with an opening mistake there, sometimes it can be enough, to have the advantage in a game. And, well, the challenge is then not to draw the advantage after that. But here, well, all the pieces were passive, so, well, everything was done in time.
Right. And a quick question, too, about, oh, gosh, I had the question, now I forgot. It happens. It's all part of the interview. If I remember, I'll bring it up later.
Yeah. Well, this is a live interview, so
Exactly.
this happens.
You know,
It's
it's
a
gonna
normal
happen.
conversation.
We're not even gonna crop anything out. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for showing this game. That showed a very clean attack. I think goes off of Kasparov's, just the way he speaks about attacking plans, and just, count the number of attackers versus the number of defenders. You got what, 5, 6, 7 pieces, including the pawn, and they only have 3 defenders. So it
Exactly.
even if you don't see it right away, it should be winning.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, actually, the king is lonely, and no one of the pieces can help.
Right.
No one.
All right. So then we have a 20-year break.
Yes.
So guys, we'll see you in 20.
I quit chess in 1997, and then I came back in October 2017 when I decided to play. And well, I decided to do it out of my country because, well, it was a little bit stressful, with all the people who know me to look around. So I wanted to go to some place where nobody knew me. And I went to Aruba, to the Aruba Chess Challenge in October 2017. And well, you can imagine how was the feeling when I went to the airport, when I landed there in Aruba, how it was. Well, my heart was beating fast before that first game. And 20 years, you can say it very easily, but it's quite a long time. So I could feel like if I was walking, very slowly. Of course, I was not slow, but it was like a slow motion camera when I was going to the board. Well, I'll never forget this. And that's why this game is very special for me.
Now, did you change? Actually, I could see on the first move here, you're playing d4. So is there a purpose to switching opening repertoire here from e4?
Well, actually, I also did before quitting chess. Sometimes I play e4, sometimes I play d4, depending on which are the lines that the other player makes, or if I feel more comfortable with the line that I'm going to face that day against such a player or something like that.
Okay.
And yeah, d4. Well, I chose d4 for that time.
Okay.
Yeah, so I played against a national master from Aruba, Enrique Jacopucci, a very nice gentleman, by the way. So part of the Arubian Olympic team. Okay, knight f6, knight f3, and d6, going through Sicilian Defense. e3, bishop g7, c4, castle, knight c3, d6. So this is a normal setup. So leading to quite, non-stressful positions. So just it's like a strategic battle.
Right.
Nothing, no open position at all. Knight b d7, castle.
No commitments.
And then e5. Rook b1 and e4. This is a typical move. Knight e2, rook e8, and b4. Because here the plans are that black is going to play through the king side.
Okay.
And black is going to have some counterplay through the queen side. So this is going to be like a race. So nobody can waste the time, because then the attack of the other player will be taking the advantage for that player.
Okay.
So b4, c6, and c6 is with the idea of playing d5. So making like a pawn chain here. And this pawn chain is typical of a setup of a player who is going to attack through the king side.
Right.
Oh, sorry. So c6, and then e4. I have a pawn storm there, aiming to attack the queen side. So, and then b6. This is a mistake, because if you want to build, a pawn chain here, why should you play b6? Now you're breaking the chain, because the basis of the chain was going to be the b7 pawn, and then the chain was going to be this way. So this is a mistake. This is a waste of time. So I guess that he wanted to avoid a break, but well, he is weakening the squares on the queen side and is wasting the time that he should use to attack the king side, because this is a race, as I told you.
And what I'm noticing too is so far on both your example games is that you mentioned this one idea, one not necessarily a blunder or anything, it was just a mistake, and you're immediately countering it.
Well,
Or you're
so
at least
I was
mentioning
lucky
it.
that these were positions that I could remember quite well from the younger times,
Gotcha.
And because even if the theory, of course, changes every day, and there's always something new, and the player has to be, update and everything and study everything. There are some basic principles that are going to stay the same in some patterns of the position. So,
okay,
and this is one of them. Okay, so d5. So again, the pawn chain, but now the pawn chain doesn't have the basis on b7. So after b5, one of the principles of attacking a pawn chain is that the weakest pawn of the chain is always the basis of the chain.
Right.
So with b5, I'm attacking the basis. And after the pawn falls, then the rest of the chain is going to be weak. So queen c7, bishop b2, because I have to develop my pieces. Knight f8. So the plans for black here, and this is an original idea from, actually, by the way, the greatest player ever, Bobby Fischer. h5, knight h7, knight g5, and then h4, h3. That's the typical attack in these positions here.
Okay. Now.
So with knight f8, he's starting to build that plan.
Okay. And this plan, obviously, it's going to be transposing from different positions. Is it with this b6 move? Does it, maybe
exactly? That's why it's a waste of time, because it has nothing to do with the plan.
Okay.
So okay, I captured there, and now he didn't capture, because what happened here that after he captures, now there is cd5. And now there's going to be a fork here after 95. This is going to be a skewer.
Ooh, ouch.
See, there's some hidden threats there in the position. So he couldn't capture the pawn, and then bishop e6. Now I did capture. He captured, and now knight b5. And here, well, of course, my idea was to open up the C file and, okay, attack on the queen side, as I told you. And queen C6, and here I messed up. So here I made a mistake, and I played knight to d2. So my plan here, when I played knight b5, was to play rook c1. But then I didn't do it, because I thought in my mind that after queen e6, he had an in-between move there, attacking my knight on b3.
Right.
But then, that's why I didn't play that. But it was like a ghost, because I simply had to play knight d2 now, and now he cannot avoid the family fork on c7. That's the thing that I missed. So he was going to lose material. Yeah, so I messed up everything.
But it's, it wasn't like a blunder, it was just a miss of a tactic.
Yeah, I did. And then after I played the move, then I noticed. Okay. So I had to start again, building up the position here. And, well, after knight e2, I'm still strategically better, because my rook is going to c1. So the white squares here are quite weak. So his attack, he hasn't done anything in the king side. But, of course, if I had a material advantage, it would have been even better. But okay.
Actually, that does bring up an interesting point here. Knowing after you made the move that you missed the other move, did you ponder on that throughout the game, or do you just push forward and be like, oh, well, go ahead?
Well, that day, for me, it was like an internal battle, because for me, it was important to go to Aruba to show myself that there was something left.
Right.
So when I made a mistake here, then I said, no, well, this is my chance. It's now or never, because if it didn't work, then I was simply going back to my doctor's office and forget about chess. So I tried harder. So that day I tried harder to win, because I knew that was perhaps the only chance that I was giving myself that day.
I was actually just giving some goosebumps on that story just now. Very nice. All right. Well, obviously you're pushing.
Yes. Knight a6 and rook c1, queen d7, and knight c4. And here, well, again, building up the position again, going through the black squares here. Now she has he has, sorry, a weak square on e6. I'm also going to e5. So again, black is not doing anything at all because he doesn't have any counterplay now. So rook c8, knight e5, attacking the queen, queen d8. So look how the black pieces are passive.
Yep.
Exactly. They're not doing anything at all. So I traded the rooks here, and he's forced to capture with the queen, because if he captured with the rook, then this pawn would be hanging here. So he would have to capture with the queen, which he did. And then queen d2. So with the plan of coming to c1, and of course, because the rook on f1 is the only piece that is not playing. So bishop f8, rook c1 indeed, queen b7, and knight c3, because, well, I wanted to take the bishop pair here. And, well, this bishop, well, he had to give me that bishop, you know, and the bishop pair here was also going to be strong. So that's what I played, knight c3. That was the idea. So he pinned there. Queen d1, I'm pinning the knight, rook c8. Well, the original idea to take the bishop. He retook there, rook c8, and then now he has a problem here, because with queen b3, now I'm attacking the knight, but the thing is that the knight is the only defender of this bishop on b4. So now he's got a problem because those pieces are tied. Of course, he cannot go away because he will lose a piece. So queen b7, and after bishop b5, now I'm threatening bishop c6, which cannot be stopped. But also bishop c4 was winning, because here I would be attacking the knight on d5 by the second time. And of course, he will be forced to go with this knight to c7 to try to hold here, because if the knight on d5 falls, the bishop on b4 is also gonna fall. Right. But then after f3, I will have the advantage, because after capturing here in e4, now black loses material.
Ouch! Oh, didn't see that one.
Yikes!
It just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. So, well, but instead of playing bishop c4, I play with the same idea, bishop b5, because anyway he cannot stop bishop c6. And well, here he tried to hold again with the same move, bishop c6. But, well, the same, because now the knight in d5, that is the target, has only one defender, because the second defender is going to be chased away. Right. And the knight in d5 is going to fall, and the bishop is also going to be hanging. So now he's in serious trouble. So bishop a6, and, well, of course, I took the knight. And now both of us here were in time trouble. Okay. Queen e2, trying to see if we could achieve a background checkmate. Check first, and then king d7, and the bishop is on time to attack the queen. And even if he came here with queen d1, the bishop is on time to block the check. And now I'm attacking the bishop on b4, and I'm also striking right here, queen f7, which will be a double attack or a fork here, and he will lose more material. So
you're under control.
Yeah, actually, he resigned right here.
Okay.
After queen c4, he resigned. He resigned the game. And so that was my first game after a 20 years break.
That is excellent. And it's interesting, guys, especially when it comes to time trouble. Obviously, players in the chat are going to be screaming, "That's a free queen." Doesn't matter, guys. It's time trouble. Anything can happen. You can miss stuff. And
yeah, well, actually, well, you're right. So even the world champion can blunder in time trouble. Anything can happen.
Yep, and he did it just recently against Dubov.
So yes, he did.
Anything can happen. So especially
in time
pressure.
Nobody can blame him, and that's normal.
And how did you feel after winning this game, doing well in the tournament as well, coming back?
Well, it was great because, well, for example, this first game was especially important because it was like breaking the ice after a 20 years break.
Sets the tone.
Yes. And well, also in that tournament, there were some good players from the Caribbean and also several players from my country,
Mm-hmm.
but I was the only lady.
Oh.
So it's to say the only female player was me. So I did pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, I lost a game. There were 7 games. I lost 1 game.
Mm-hmm.
I drew 3 more games, but I think, okay, I could have played even better, but it was not bad at all after 20 years break. So I think it was okay. So then, well, I decided to try and go back to chess. Well, here I am with you.
Yeah, here you are. And how are you enjoying the time in Miami with all the blitz going on?
Well, you know that Miami is a great city. So before, when I came here, I was just coming on vacation because I came from Venezuela 2 years ago. And well, actually, of course, that I live here in South Florida. I live in Broward, so I'm taking the time to, to know or to meet the city.
Yeah.
Well, actually, not exactly now because of the lockdown.
Obviously.
But
yeah.
well, the people and everything, and I really feel at home. I really, even if it's another language and our people, something completely different because, well, I took almost 25 years of my time to be a medical doctor, and now I'm a chess coach and I'm a chess player. So something completely different to what I used to do. And I feel really happy because, of course, it's like I have like 2 halves in my heart. One is for my medicine, my career, and the other one is for chess.
Yes.
Now I'm with chess, and of course I'm feeling happy here.
And what's amazing about that story as well is that anything that you put in a lot of time and effort into, you can definitely be successful with.
That's it.
I mean, guys, not all chess players do only chess. Look at this. We have a person who, I mean, graduated with the master's and everything. I'm amazing. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I also used to study. I studied foreign languages. I studied English, and I also studied French and Italian at a university.
Amazing.
And well, but here I am. So now I'm a chess teacher in an elementary school. I'm working at Franklin Academy in Sunrise.
Franklin is amazing.
And well, I have a lot of students, and it's something that I also like a lot because, well, teachers are very special people for the kids that are the future of this country. So this is going to be something important. So I also feel very pleased to be there.
That is amazing. And obviously everyone's hungry for over-the-board tournaments to come back once all this mess is over. I mean, everyone's been asking, when's the next tournament? When's the next tournament?
So. Well, everything is trying to come back to normal life somehow.
Yeah.
But here at chess, I would say that it's one of the few things or sports that have been, taken like more people who are practicing chess. Because now that we are with the lockdown, online chess has developed a lot. And of course, now with the World Chess Olympiad, even more, almost all the tournaments are playing online. And also, with the Queen's Gambit, a lot of people is playing chess. So actually, I think that the online chess is something that came to stay. Yes. And it's going to stay in a very serious way. So I think that everybody's aiming to play chess. And well, actually, I'm playing chess right now in a club in Miami, named Bobby Fischer, by the way, and we're playing tournaments face to face. Well, now they're organizing a scholastic tournament, so pretty good. They're very strong players there, so I can be active and do what I want and meet more people, go to Miami. Well, I really feel good. So I hope you go. I mean, you have been in the club, so I hope you're going to go and play some more tournament with us.
Absolutely. And it's an 1.5-hour trek for me, but I've done it once. I'll definitely do it again. You guys are very strong, and also you're one of the first people I met there, and super kind, very, very kind Amelia is. So if you guys are in Florida, go ahead and check out the Bobby Fischer Chess Club down in Miami. Also, quickly off topic here with the Queen's Gambit, how did you think of it?
Well, I think it's a TV series that have been very well organized, and actually, Bruce Pandolfini and the great Grandmaster Garrett Kasparov are behind that Queen's Gambit, and the games are from real games, and there are a lot of things that have some similarities
Yep.
with the chess practice. For example, when you look at the board and you imagine the position, you cannot sleep at all because you're thinking on such a line that you can win, or you could have done better.
Yep.
And challenging, with the other players that you want to beat them. Well, actually, those are the similarities. Of course, the thing that is not similar, is the behavior of such a person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because this particular person had some issues that are not in the normal chess life. Because, well, all the chess players have a life. We study, we have careers, we work, we have a family. So
yep, and everyone's different, and for this particular person, it was an out. It was a way to actually get through their difficulties in life, and chess has done it for me as well. So everyone takes something different from this wonderful game.
That's it.
Yeah. All right, so amazing second game here, and how much time we got? We got plenty of time. Let's go ahead and do one more.
Sure.
All right.
Well, here's my third game
that
I chose for today. And in this one, I was playing with black pieces. And here I played with Women International Master Nancy Sequeda. This was one of the games of the pre-Olympic selection tournament. Now trying to join the Olympic team in Caracas.
Okay, sorry, I accidentally hit a button.
So it was a decisive game. So of course it was a very important one because after I came back in October 2017. Then I played one more tournament in December. And then I was invited by the Venezuelan Federation to join the final tournament for the National Female Championship.
That's amazing.
And well, you can imagine how I felt there because there was too much, that I cared of. And well, I won the tournament, and 20 years later, I won the national championship again. So it was great. It was glorious for me.
Oh man, it definitely told you, you were ready to come back.
Yeah, after that, of course, I would say, okay, then I maybe I can think seriously. Maybe I have the chance to join again the Olympic team and going back to the Olympiad. And actually, the last Olympiad I played was in 1996. So I achieved that. I could join the Olympic team, and I went to Batumi 22 years after my last Olympiad. So that was something that is not normally seen in the Olympiad. So that's why, well, I went to the FIDE broadcast. I was interviewed in English by Grandmaster Ivan Sokolov and Grandmaster Kuramishvili. And then in the chess24.com broadcast with Pepe Cuenca, well, they interviewed me because, well, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
We used to watch them all the time. So they're almost like idols. And of course, well, imagine Grandmaster Sokolov has a great personality in chess. So to be interviewed for such personalities is really great, that they know about their own story. It was really great. It was really great. A dream come true.
And I wish you the very best here in Florida as well. Hopefully you can make your footprints to change the... I mean, change is not the right word, but, help chess grow here as well.
Well, okay. I think that there are a lot of good players here in Florida. So what we need is more tournaments to be organized, and not only would see the tournaments from the United States Chess Federation, but we also need to FIDE tournaments organized here because we have also a lot of Cuban, Russian, Indian players, a lot of persons, even grandmasters who live in South Florida. So we're missing a great opportunity to develop chess here.
Yes.
And there's a lot of talent around. So I think that if we organize more tournaments and we, make chess, to be known with the kids at school and everything, I think that this, chess is going to change a lot here in South Florida.
Start to push that international rating. Yep.
Yeah, so well, I hope we can do it. So actually, the plans here for the club in Miami are great. So I think we're gonna see another
I
story
believe it
here.
will be a possibility in the near future as soon as all this is over.
I'm sure.
All right. So, what is this game about? Who are we playing against?
Okay, so I was playing with this one international masters together, and we were fighting for one of the places to join the Olympic team. So this was one of the decisive games.
Okay.
So I was playing with black pieces here, so I played, and I played Sicilian Defense normally with black. Knight f3, d6, d4, takes, knight f6, knight c3, and knight c6 going to the classical Sicilian. So you have the knight or Sicilian, you have the dragon, but I played a classical one.
Okay.
Bishop c4, so we're trying to go to a Zoltan attack. 6.
It's that idea of like knight h5 and stuff, where it's like provoking knight a5.
Exactly, but there's also another line here where you can play queen b6. That's another line that sometimes I also used to play. But here I decided to go with the normal setup, the one that you're saying right now, e6 with the plans of a6, b5. So this is a normal setup, and almost all the Sicilian defenses were blank.
Right.
So bishop e3, bishop e7, castles, bishop e3, e6. There you go. Because of course with a6, you want to avoid this knight to jump to b5 because I have a weakness here on d6. Actually, well, it's not that easy to exploit because, well, the bishop on e7 is a very good defender.
Right.
But of course, that's a weakness. e4, not allowing me to play b5. And then queen c7, so normal setup. Rook e8, 4. And here, well, the plan for white is very clear. So the plan is to break here f5, taking some pressure over the e6 pawn because the knight is also putting pressure, and also the bishop on b3. And if at some time I go ahead with a pawn on e5, then there is going to be a serious weakness here on the d5 square.
Right.
And what is going to take it. So these are double-edged positions.
But so, both of you are playing for a win here, obviously.
Yes, of course. Yes. So knight a5, trying to take away that bishop on b3, because of course that's a stronger attacker here with this white diagonal, and bishop a2, b6, because, well, I want to develop the bishop on b7, but I think that here I should have played bishop d7, intending to play bishop c6 at some moment and trying to make pressure over the e4 pawn. But, well, b6, I think it was not a good move because this pawn is somehow attacked by x-ray, but that bishop over there on e3, and the queen has to be, cannot go so far because then the pawn could be hanging.
Right.
So, well, f5 according to the plan. In e5, I had no choice at all.
It's kind of like
knight f3,
kind of hedgehoggy in a way. Feels like.
Yeah, and bishop b7, because at some moment if she goes to d5, then I have to trade that knight immediately because that knight is really annoying. And if the knight gets here, it's going to be, attacking this b6 pawn, and all the position will fall.
Yeah.
So knight d2, rook d8, defending somehow the pawn if needed. So rook d8, because here my plan is to break with d5. e5 and open up the position, trying to get some counterplay with this bishop on the great diagonal.
Right.
So those were my plans. Bishop d5, her plans are to take away one of the most important defenders of the d5 square, that is actually the center of the board right now.
Right.
b5, looking for some counterplay because I have no counterplay at all. So here, in somehow sacrificing the pawn to get some counterplay through the c5 with this c2 pawn and try to complicate the position.
Okay.
So trading here, trades, and then of course I have to take that knight away. Okay. And then knight c6, because, well, this knight is on the edge of the board, it's not doing anything at all, and it's almost hanging
Right.
because it's only has one defender. And then my queen is not able to move to anywhere else because it has to be defending the knight. So knight c6, trying to get here to the d4 square and trying to, to look for better positions for my pieces. c3, of course, not allowing me to do that. And knight e7, which is the bishop away. So again, I'm looking for the d5 move that will free my position because this is always a weakness. So my aim or my goal here is to push that pawn at some moment. So b4, opening up the b file, looking for some counterplay. C b4, queen b4. So again, trying to get some pressure over the b file and also over the e pawn. So I'm looking for some counterplay. So rook c1, and then queen b7, putting more pressure over the b file. Rook c3.
Does this move have? I was just about to ask about a hidden threat here, and I guess you are going to do it.
Oh yes, b5 because
b2.
now I'm yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to do that, but with b5, I already could achieve the move I wanted to because I'm releasing my position from the weakness that is the b6 pawn. Right. And I also, when this pawn has to capture mine, now at some moment I can push this pawn, also releasing the bishop and f6 to the great diagonal. So now my position is looking better.
And with the bishop pair, open position, good to go.
So yeah, and now, well, knight b5 because she had to capture there. And now my knight is going to get to f4. That is also a good position. And if the knight goes to f4, it will be already pointing there to the pawn on g2. So my position looks quite promising.
Oh, yeah.
So, of course, she had to take the knight because otherwise I was going to get the initiative. And then after queen d5, I'm dominating the d file and also have some pressure over the b2 pawn. And at some moment now I have themes to push the pawn in order to release the bishop, attack the rook, and also this pawn will be falling. So quite promising position already. And by the way, it's fair to say that at this moment, both of us were already in time trouble.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so well, it was really stressful. So all the people there that was in the tournament, was around us because, well, everybody knew that this was a decisive game for joining the Olympic team. So knight c4, because I was attacking the knight, of course, and e4, according to the plans. And look how the bishop and the rook are already pointing there, making pressure over the b pawn.
Yep, and a pass pawn.
So, yeah, knight e3, queen b7, and well, with queen b7, I also can play rook b8 later. Setting up what is called in chess Alekin's gun. So, well, my position quite promising. So the only problem is that we were in time trouble. So I traded a couple of rooks and then h6 because what happened. When you're in time trouble, it sometimes look how this king is lonely there in the back rank, and at some moment you're focusing on checkmating the other king, and then you forget about the back rank. You get checkmated. Yeah, that happens a lot of time. And then when you're in time trouble, then that player says, "Okay, I'm gonna defend it later. I'm gonna open up escapes for it later," and then that later is that you get checkmated.
It's like, I should have done that. Darn.
Yeah, h6. So h6, and I forget about everything. So nothing to be done. I mean, nothing to do with the back rank checkmate.
Yeah.
So knight e5. Well, there's a mistake, of course, but well, the position was not easy now for white because, well, if she moved the rook, which she should have done, then the pawn on b2 was already falling, and my rook was going to get to the 7th rank, and then the rook was going to threaten rook b1. So the position for white was not easy already, and in time trouble, even worse. So knight e5 was a serious mistake because after bishop c3, and she messed up again, she blundered again, and then she captured the rook instead of capturing the bishop. She captured the rook, but the bishop captured back, and now I got an extra piece.
Yep. And no back ranks.
Still played for a few moves because I was in time trouble. And here, queen d5 centralizing the queen, check, and then, well, the king built like a like a house there, quite protected. Bishop d6 to avoid checks here in the 7th rank. And queen e1, queen e5, threatening checkmate on h2. Now she's tying the defense on queen h4 and after e3. She resigned because the pass pawn cannot be stopped from promotion.
Right, with the added threat here.
So that was the day when I officially joined the Olympic team after 22 years.
That is an amazing story. And even here in the chat, we had people who think that the games you showed in your story is very inspiring. So thank you so much for sharing this with us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully you see it wasn't hard at all. It was very relaxed. Have a good time. Show your prowess. That's all it's all about. And that's what chess is about too. Show your knowledge of the game. Don't let your opponents show you what they can do.
Oh, well, thank you. It has been a really very nice conversation. I'm really enjoying here this interview. So, wow, we could be talking here for hours.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how chess players are too. We could just keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
And I love listening. So, anyway, thank you so much again. Guys, this is Women FIDE Master Amelia Hernandez from Venezuela. Go ahead and check out on YouTube when this is uploaded. Actually, that doesn't make any sense. Check out Twitch on Thursdays and Tuesdays for our streams as well on there. Also, if you have anyone specific that you would like us to interview, we'll go ahead and do our best to go ahead and get them. So send us a message on Florida Chess Live Twitch. And Amelia, do you have any final words here before we wrap it up?
Well, I would say again, thank you very much for being here with us. So I really feel very honored. I feel very happy to be here in the United States with all of you, with a new life and new friends. And I'm enjoying because I'm doing exactly what I want to do. I wanted to give myself a second opportunity to go back to chess. And now all I want is to keep improving. I don't know what is going to happen, of course, because nobody knows what is going to happen.
Right.
But I only want to keep improving, to keep learning, and to be better each day. That's it.
Absolutely. So, guys, stay consistent with anything that you do. That's how you get better. All right. Thank you so much again. Have a wonderful night, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.